Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Brother Grooms.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, I'm glad everybody's on. Good evening. I would like to formally welcome everyone to the City of South Fulton's Development Authority, also known as Envision South Fulton's monthly meeting. Today is Monday, April 26th. Mr. Clerk, can you please call the roll? Mr. Clerk?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was on mute. Good afternoon to everyone. This is the roll call for the Development Authority meeting for this evening. The Honorable Mark Baker, Chairman.
Present.
Honorable Jamal Grooms, Vice Chairman.
Present.
Honorable Arnold Jiggetts, Secretary Treasurer.
Present.
Honorable Thant Coleman, Director.
Present.
Honorable Alicia Ivey, Director.
Present.
The Honorable Andrew Pierson, Director.
Present.
The Honorable Derek Pollard, Director.
Present.
And the Honorable Rick Ross, Director.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, Director Mercedes Miller indicated she would not be present this evening. You do have a quorum.
Received. Thank you for sharing that. Mr. Clerk, please call the first item.
First item is item 3, approval of meeting agenda.
I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve of the meeting agenda as printed.
Is there a second? Properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Clerk, please do a roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Chairman Baker.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Grooms.
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Jiggetts.
Aye.
Director Coleman.
Aye.
Director Ivey.
Aye.
Director Pierson.
Aye.
Director Pollard.
Aye.
And Director Ross.
Aye.
That was approved unanimously.
Thank you, sir. Next item, please.
Next item is item 4, approval of the March 27, 2021 regular meeting minutes, the March 27, 2021 strategic planning session minutes, and the April 1st, 2021 special call meeting minutes.
I move for approval for the special call meeting.
Second.
Okay, it seems like we have a motion of approval in a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Clerk, please do a roll call vote.
Okay, and for clarity, Director Ivey, that is for all 3 minutes?
That is correct. I was getting ready to go down all of those before it was seconded.
I apologize for that.
No worries, Director. Thank you so much, sir.
It's a roll call vote. Chairman Baker.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Grooms.
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Jiggetts.
Aye.
Director Coleman.
Aye.
Director Ivey.
Aye.
Director Pierson.
Aye.
Director Pollard.
Aye.
Director Ross.
Aye.
The minutes for those 3 meetings were approved unanimously.
Thank you, sir. Next item, please.
Next item is item 5, public comment. As of the cutoff time of 4 p.m., we did not receive any public comment for tonight's meeting.
Received. Thank you, sir. Next item.
Next item is item 6, development presentation, Provision Holdings LLC, presented by Ryan Oros. And I believe Mr. Oros is on the line.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Oros. You have the floor.
All right. Well, great. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. As Mr. Corey mentioned, Ryan Oros, company's Provision Holdings. Appreciate y'all's time. Councilman Baker asked if I could be on the call to really discuss a proposed project that we are putting forth at the exit there, Highway 74 and Oakley Industrial Boulevard. And mainly the focus, other than just giving you a high level pitch of the project, which we're going to actually meet with Shayla on Wednesday as a pre-app meeting, is really focus on the mixed development we're looking at doing. And what I would do, I think I can share my screen, right? I think
Correct.
Okay, excellent. There we go. Excellent. All right. So I guess just a high level. So exit as Highway 74 here. It's the edge of Fairburn, southwest boundary of the city of South Fulton. Let me back out so everybody can see. So the property is 15 acres, and as it stands from an economic development standpoint, our viewpoint of this project, we look at the corridor going down to Peachtree City. There's a lot of commercial activity along the Highway 74 there. And so our thought was the property, I'll zoom in right here, is, if you can see my cursor, it's 15.25 acres. Our thought was you look at the housing options and there's a big attainable quality gap that is not fee simple. And Rockland did a great job with that concept for townhomes, but again, it's ownership. And there's a lot of professionals that we have gathered that don't really want to own and maybe have a need for a rental, but quality high-end product that's not high-end price, but high-end quality. So we backed into this, and the property is zone mixed. And so we looked at this as a really nice transitional buffer from Highway 74, the Wendy's and the Starbucks, the rents are really high. So from a business perspective, we don't envision a lot of startup businesses that maybe in the community that maybe would like to have it could be an incubator space, it could be a salon, a cafe, a boutique. I mean, you guys would probably have a better flavor of the need in the area, but a lot of those businesses can't pay the rents that are $30, $40, $50 a square foot along Highway 74. So all that being said, we looked at the area, the transition, the buffer from commercial, hotels, our site, and then townhomes. It seems like a perfect area to do both things, which is a quality attainable housing that's not fee simple, highly amenitized, throw in some opportunities for local businesses that could actually, again, start a business perhaps. So kind of give you a quick little flavor of the overall facade concept layout. There's going to be some tweaks. So what I would ask, if you guys would welcome me again, is maybe end of next month, once this is submitted for the, we have to do a modification to the overall zoning, is maybe tweak some of the plans. At that point, we'll be kind of done. But to give you an idea, this box right here is really where we're going to land with this retail concept. The downside is, and Councilman Baker and I talked about this, it's not a great retail location because it is third row behind two second boxes. But from an opportunity from like an incubator space or startup space that we feel partnering with you all, whether that's signage, incentives, whatever, could really create an opportunity. We think that, you have 300 to 320 units with a highly amenitized clubhouse that has outdoor spaces and a connectivity to a park and some spaces that look over the pool, that we feel could really create some kind of neat businesses, again, cafe, boutiques, etc. So, as a whole, we feel that the plan does fit a big void. And again, to be quite frank, I don't care if it's City of South Fulton, if it's Noonan, if it's Lilburn, you name it, there's a need for this type of, I think, quality, thought out project that can allow businesses to start up. So the one tweak I would say, and I know I'm talking a lot here, I do want to ask y'all some questions, is the bottom left corner here. I think the overall layout may change a little bit when you see this in the end of May, but the concept location is still going to be the same, which would be this. We're looking at 2 to 3 bays, totaling 3,000 square feet thereabouts. I think it's, it could be 1,500, it could be 3,000 square foot boxes. Really a perfect bite-size opportunity for someone to start a business. Not necessarily start a business, but I just feel like that's what's going to be the most attractive. But then again, you guys might say there's a handful of businesses that need lower rents, but part of a overall project that can get attention. So that's really the high level, how we came up with the idea, how we backed into it, and quite frankly, what we're leaning towards in terms of overall elements, the brick and the color combinations and the facades and outdoor spaces, and how do we connect into the townhome project next door to create a walkable connectivity between townhomes and apartments. And so that's a real quick synopsis. I don't want to steal y'all's meeting, but I would love to get some feedback from y'all in terms of, not only just from business perspective, but even from maybe there's local real estate management companies in the area, or maybe the city as a whole would be interested in partner ownership of the retail boxes. Or, I mean, we're pretty open and pretty creative people. So love to get some of y'all's input and even suggestions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Oros. I
Yeah.
appreciate your presentation. And of course, I'm familiar with this property in particular, the parcel lands in my district, in District 7. And unlike many developers, again, this developer came to myself and Director Reed and is willing to help and offer or just extend opportunities for businesses, small businesses in particular, to come to the city of South Fulton. And I thought it'd be an excellent opportunity for him to come and present. We might, of course, hear from him later with the possibilities of an axe, but during this time, the early stages, I think it would be ideal to get feedback from the directors of this board based off how they contend in regards to a project like this. So at this time, if there's any questions, I'll entertain them at this point.
Yeah, this is Rick.
Hey, Rick?
Yes.
Yeah, the retail space, does that back up on Oakley or is that on 74? Where is the retail space and how visible is it to Highway 74?
Yeah, great question. The best way I'm probably going to be able to answer that visually is you have, I'm not sure why that's so blurry, Oakland Industrial Boulevard, if you can see my cursor, you have 2 rows of retail. You got the hotel and you got, I call it hotel row. You got 3 boxes right here, need hotels. So the best we're going to get from an activation standpoint is going to be on Oakland Industrial front facing. So it's going to be literally right where my cursor is. The one thing that Ms. Reed and I were talked about is potentially is getting with the hotel people. There is a sign out here for the hotels. And if there's a way we could creatively, from a planning perspective or economic development, get some shared signage. The downside is that's why we feel it's not a great standalone retail, just because it is somewhat hidden. But at the same time, it could be really activated in a way we can offer lower rents and attract, businesses that can't afford, quote unquote, main and main. So it is going to be right here front facing. I think what you'll see is the clubhouse and the retail is probably going to be activated and combined right here. That's going to be the big change you'll see. So to answer your question, it's going to be front facing Oakland Industrial. The main driveway into our project is going to be right here, which will then connect to the hotel row back here. So 2 points of entry, sign will have to be out there shared with the hotels. Hopefully is our goal.
And how many spaces are available for retail?
Well, to the point of, again, early, right? But we're depending on the size, we thought it would be probably max at around 3,000 square feet, unless the demand is more than we think. That our concern is, building it and it remaining vacant. So it's that fine line of doing enough, but not doing too much to where you have a lot of dark space. So we feel like, 2 to 3, maybe 4 local businesses that come to the area, or maybe someone who lives here just likes to find the right space but can't afford the high rents. Yeah. So I think that's what we're leaning towards in terms of square footage and potential businesses.
Yeah, because Highway 74 is a very high traffic area. People coming out of Tyrone, Fairburn, and Peachtree City.
Yes, sir.
Going up towards 85. I'm very familiar with that area.
Yeah,
and they're still building. There's still a lot of development going on in that area as well.
Mm-hmm. It's really exploded 74. Our close friends from college actually live down in Peachtree City, and we've been driving down this corridor for probably 10 years. And
yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm very familiar.
The last 3 years has just exploded with activity, to your point. And it's all the credit national tenants that can pay the big dollars, and there's good and bad to that, right? I mean, they're there where they need to be, but at the same time, the people who maybe want to be in the area can't. This allows an opportunity potentially.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
may I have the floor when Brother Ross? Director
Yes,
Ross.
sir. Director Ross, are you clear?
I'm clear. Thank you.
Okay. Director Jiggetts, you have the floor.
Thank you for your presentation, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I have a few questions. I'll try to keep them brief, but I do have more than one.
Sure.
My first question is, what do you have an idea of the type of investment this development will make in this area?
Develop meaning in what impact, what regards?
What do you think this project will cost for you all to do in this area?
Oh, to actually build it out, you're saying?
Yes.
Well, we're waiting on final site work costs. So subtract out the unknown of the site work. I mean, right now we're averaging about $200 to $200 a square foot to build the actual, because lumber costs, I'm sure you're all aware, unfortunately isn't going down. It's only going straight up. So we're typically, 950 unit is average size. I would say the build out's probably going to be in just rough math, 55 to 58 million to actually build the actual structure. Probably a little higher because we're going to beef up, as you can see here. This is not a inexpensively built clubhouse, and the clubhouse too is going to act as an amenity, but also like an incubator space for co-working. People might have a home office, when they can use this space to actually use that. So it's going to function as a multi-use purpose. So I would say minimum from a structural, mid to high 50s, site work 15. I'd probably say another 5 to 6 million. So pretty significant, probably in the 60s.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
Have you considered, I think you may have touched on this, I'm not sure if I heard you correctly.
Sure.
Have you considered the possibility of residents having some sort of incentive to operate, if they do have a business, that space and the retail space?
I didn't, but that's actually a really good idea. Have you, in terms of, again, I would love to learn what you're thinking, in terms of incentivize from the space itself or from a living perspective to then keep their business close by?
I would imagine a combination of both. I would be attracted to a place where I can go live and work, and it was reasonable to operate, my business where I lived at. I would be incentivized to do that.
Yeah, no, it's an excellent point. I'm making a note. As long as I'm looking down.
No problem.
That's
I think I heard you mention a park. I'm familiar with this area as well.
Sure.
And there, as I understand it, and I believe strongly, there is no park, especially if not in that district, definitely in that corridor of Oakland Industrial. Mm-hmm. Can you elaborate a little further on the park idea that you mentioned?
Yeah, so I know I'm flipping around, so forgive me. These boxes, i.e. the buildings, are going to move around. I'm supposed to have an update before I meet with Ms. Reed on Wednesday, but the idea here is by doing some 3-4 splits, and for those who don't know what that means is where the topo kind of falls down, we're going to do, it's not an elevator, but it's still a 3-story front, but the back falls off. It's a 4-story in the back. So by doing that, we can actually create some more green space. So the goal would be, is if you can see here on my cursor, there's actually some park area space for them. The goal would be is creating some sort of like a linear connectivity here. This would be more green space, and then walk down into what this retail / clubhouse would be. So our goal is to really beef up. I know this is, again, the first take on the site plan, but try to create functional green space, not just green space for the sake of having it. And I think that's always a big distinction. I'm sure you guys see lots of projects, right, that have green space that looks pretty, but it doesn't really function as a place people want to gather. So that's part of our goal, is if we can get a little more in the density for the buildings, we can therefore create more space to where both townhome and residents can actually utilize these quote unquote connected spaces. So our goal is to do that. We can't obviously do so much park because it's only 15 acres, but within that, we're going to try to really beef up as much as we can.
Got it. I don't know well, I can imagine what 15 acres look like. I would just possibly consider, and of course, I'm certain that you're going to work with our chairman, considering it's his district, but consider a multi-purpose use field for the community for athletics. Keep that in mind. I would think that would kind of fit the space.
Okay.
I yield the floor.
Okay, I have Director Ivey.
Thank you. Ryan, thank you so much for your presentation. I wanted to ask you, what is your approach with regard to the sustainability component for this development? That's the first question. And secondly, I do like your approach with regard to having an element and an area for small businesses and being able to craft some kind of specific program or specific incentivization to have businesses and living spaces combined together. But first, I'd like to just hone in on what your sustainability approach may be. Does it include perhaps solar, or just what were you all thinking right now?
Yeah, so that would be, I want to answer the question best as I can. Gray Star, as you can see upper left, they're the actual apartment group. They're going to be building the actual project. I would say the challenge is going to be going any alternative traditional energy sources like electric and gas is going to be our goal to create this to be a quality, which hopefully the renderings resemble that, but also keep the pricing to where it doesn't push out. You know, if you go A plus luxury, that's not really our goal here in terms of rents, but getting an A product to where the professionals who can afford rents, you know, teachers, people in the warehouses all along this area that have, you know, management positions, but can't afford a $400,000 house. So I don't know if they have a option for a I would say traditional or a green alternative for energy. I don't know the answer to that. That's something that we definitely can pick up, probably assuming I get a chance to come back and connect with you guys. So I don't know the answer to that well, because that's more of a question for specifically Gray Star, but I definitely make a note of that and get back to you on that for sure.
Thank you so much.
No, hey, great question. Thank you.
Director Pollard, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Oros, thank you for joining us for our meeting today. A couple of quick questions.
Yes, sir.
Architectural design has been very important to a lot of the districts in our city. And I'm noticing on these elevations that you have three different architectural styles, it seems to me. You have the traditional garden style, 3/4 splits, as you mentioned.
Yes, sir.
But you also have the mixed use, more in-town sort of renderings with respect to the mixed use piece. And then you have almost and I don't know more an industrial style with respect to the clubhouse.
Okay.
What's the thought process around that?
Yeah, good question. I can see how that can create some potential confusion. Again, going back, this is sort of the first blush. The cohesiveness is going to be more here. This originally was showing the idea of trying to create some retail on the first floor. I think that's going to change based off some topo changes. So I would answer your question by focusing more on a conversation with Mrs. Reed. Is the goal would be is to bring in some brick or stone, and this project and this concept that actually Gray Star is doing in the city of Douglasville. So I think we like these neutral tones, and I think the architecture is going to look more along this. Is going to bring in some brick, the patio, clubhouse, but then to answer your question, is bring in that first floor brick, having the grays and the neutrals, and then having columns of brick along that. I think that's the overall theme, and is going to carry that throughout, including the retail space and the clubhouse space. So this is probably a better representation of what we anticipate. Again, colors can change, that's easy. But from the fact that we like this, it's unique, to me it has a different flavor. You know, Miss Reed and the team may disagree in terms of the facades, but we specifically talked about our first go, which was 2 weeks ago, is Ryan, I want to see some different materials, and, you know, whether it's brick, stone, and what have you. So that was sort of our takeaway from that meeting.
Right.
And bringing it here. So I love your input on it too, but that's sort of our goal, is to capture that motto and bring it throughout. So yeah, that first site plan might be a little confusing in terms of architectural.
Okay, fair enough.
Sure.
Can you give us some ballpark rents as it relates to 1, 2, 3 bedrooms and also the retail space?
Yeah, very undecided on the retail space. We're at the moment unsure of the cost, but it's going to be really low in the sense of we're not typically, meaning Gray Star, you know, they're in the residential space. So they're not retailers per trade, but handle the mixed use pieces. So I would say we're definitely going to be probably the sub $12 to $15 a foot for sure. And I think that's the goal, right? Is get it to where most businesses can afford, you know, whatever the number might be. If it's a 3,000 square foot box times 10, you know, kind of do the math in that regard. Rent wise, again, not avoiding the question, that's getting more Gray Star because they're going to set the rents. But typically this product, and I think Douglasville, please don't quote me, I'll confirm this with Craig. I thought it was $1.50. I thought it was like the $1,200 to $1,400. I thought it was $1.50 a square foot, I believe. That's some reason that sticks in my head for the underwriting we did, but I'll definitely confirm, and I can email Councilman Baker to share with you guys between now and May.
Okay. And one
background noise.
Okay, no, that's okay. And one last question. I was there once before too.
It's the witching hour of dinner for them.
That's right. So can you show me the site plan again, please?
Absolutely. Tell me like to zoom in, I'll be happy to.
Okay, no, that's fine. And how many entrances and exits do you have?
Yeah, so I think the best we're going to get is our main one, which is right off Oakland Industrial Boulevard. It lines up with the truck stop.
Okay.
Across the street. And then this main one, the road's already there. It's going to be, technically it's deeded as this property, but this is going to be shared with the 3 hotel pads, one of which is built and 2 of which is already pad ready. So the 2, I doubt we're going to get another curb cut along Oakland Industrial Boulevard. So it's going to be the main one coming in off Oakland Industrial, and then the side entrance, which is going to be shared by the 2 hotels.
Yeah, thanks. I didn't see but one, and I know that's been an issue with some of the developments that we've had in our city. City council and the mayor don't really like just one way, one ingress and egress.
Yes, sir.
And so it's good to know that you have more than one.
Yeah, to your point, that's key. I mean, right, anytime you bring in multiple bodies, unless you're just forced to do it, we always like to try to find an entry exit point for obvious reasons, safety, access, not to mention just flow. You know, I think you can, especially in this situation, right, is that it can create more opportunities for local businesses by bringing in, again, our goal was to try to get between 300 and 320. I think that's kind of a lower density on 15 acres. But if we can get people moving around different spaces, you know, the hotels might do better, businesses might do better. There's just more opportunities. So it's a good point about access.
Sure. Thank you so much for your answers.
Yes, sir.
Chairman Baker, I yield the floor.
Thank you, Director Pollard. Up next, we have Director Pierson.
Thank you. I too want to tell you I appreciate your presentation very much.
Thank you.
Just have a couple of questions. What other locations does Gray Star currently operate? I am former realtor, and I like to go look at stuff during the day, during the morning, something that's been built more than just the last couple of months to see how that materials, how they last.
Sure.
So if you mentioned Douglasville, but if you have something that's been built over the last 3 to 5 years, that would be great. You could share that with Chairman Baker.
Yeah, happy to.
Okay.
And one thing I do want to add, I'm glad you brought that up. One thing that is unique, and again, Gray Star is not an exception, but specifically Gray Star, they're institutional money, they're a national group, and they are the actually nation's largest management company. So I say that simply because when they build it, they're there for the long haul. It's not a build and go. And I think that's part of the rap that sometimes multifamily gets, is that, you know, the two-story product that you may, for all of us for that matter, the 1970-80 product that is typically gets a little run down. These guys are here, they don't go anywhere, and they also will manage their project too, which is pretty unique. Some guys build it, sell it, move on to the next deal. They will build it, manage it, and own it, and for a long time. So I will send you a list. I'll probably just keep it just to Georgia, unless you want me to broad out to across the country, but I can hone down just on some Georgia properties if you'd like.
You know, just something that I can drive to. So if they're within an hour's drive, that would be amazing.
You got it.
My next question is, how does Greystone determine and decide? And a couple of the previous directors kind of stole on some of my questions, so you answered those. So you have me for a shortened list of questions. How did you decide on build out type? Architecturally, I'm looking at, and I'm on my phone, so it's kind of hard to see, but what was the decision? How was the decision made as this particular kind? Is it because it's in this area, Fairburn area, South Fulton, Tyrone, that decision, or was it, what other factors led into that design type?
Yeah, great question. So, and I'll zoom in, hopefully you can see a little bit on your phone, specifically the building unit. I think the big thing we've noticed is, and again, I should have said that from the very beginning, that we're looking at projects with various municipalities from city of Stockbridge to Lilburn to Flower Branch, of course, you know, South Fulton, and even the Coweta County and Noonan, how do we find quality, attainable housing, whether that is fee simple or in this case, rental, but also bring elements that you typically see in a luxury product, which, you know, brick and stone and these other components and highly amenitized options. So we started with that sort of premise, and then we backed into saying, okay, how do we do that affordable, right? Because if you do too much of it, then all you're doing is passing on the cost to rents, and it kind of blows up the model. So along that line is, you know, getting enough of these brick elements and sometimes stone. In this case, we just found that the project in Douglasville, which is really what this initial size is, I mean, the visuals are, is that it just turned out to be a really attractive, well-received item. And I think really no highly scientific answer than we like the neutrals and it's different. And a lot of people go with different color combinations. And we thought having the grays and the whites just had a really unique kind of element that you don't typically see in really quite throughout Metro Atlanta, to be quite honest.
Okay. And my last question is, you mentioned on multiple occasions, the rent's going to be very, very, or really, really low. And that sounds good, but it also can be concerning relative to the location. So you mentioned about the location stuck behind two other boxes. Just in a quick, brief synopsis, why is the rent going to be so low? It's either going to be, are we lowering the quality of the build out? Is it truly because it's going to be hard to see or hard to get to? What leads to your description of really low rent?
Yeah, and again, that could definitely be perceived as negative. Probably should tailor the statement. The build out's still going to be traditional shell, $150, $200 a square foot to build that space out. So very market rate, if you will. I know talking to Chipotle, for instance, not this site, but it's about $175 a square foot to build out their buildings. So to answer your question, it's really more or less the location and the fact that we're not bringing in like an anchor, a grocer, because it's not a good location for it, that we feel in order to attract, again, the focus is a local business, startup business, cafes, retail salons, boutiques. We don't feel like if we get into the $15, $18, $20 a square foot, I feel like it's going to push all those people out. But we might find out, and you guys, your ears at the ground more than mine, you may say, hey, there's 5 businesses that would love to have a space like this and they can afford $15 rents. Fantastic. I would love to engage them early on and have those conversations. I just would rather start lower, knowing we can go up, but build a model where it is much lower than traditional market rate so that it can be successful. So that's really more the premise, even though it may sound lower quality. Reality is it's trying to do the same market rate, but then also know we can underwrite it at a lower basis and still make it work.
Okay. So that allows you the opportunity to increase based off demand.
Yeah. I mean, if we can we can get more rent from it and have a sustainable business there, and that's everybody wins, and that's great. I would just we just kind of did the reverse order, which may be very anti-capitalistic, but we just figured it's a safer way of pursuing it, just because it's, you know, it's not a fantastic visible off Highway 74 Oakley Industrial Boulevard versus highway, right? It's not a, it's busy, but it's not a going from A to B to Peachtree City where I'm going to see you. So that's our thought process on the potential rents.
Fair enough. Thank you. I yield the floor, Chairman Baker. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Pierson. I don't have anyone else in my queue. Am I missing anyone? Okay. If not, I just wanted to just make a comment real quick. This property, if you're not familiar with it, is where near where we used to have our meetings when we first started, by the Marriott, where the Fairfield Inn is in District 7. That's the first hotel in our entire city. I had the privilege of cutting the ribbon there because the mayor was absent and I was mayor pro tem at the time. It's like an up and coming area, and they have a lot of transient members of our District 7 community over there. Also, there are 2 more hotels coming to that property. I don't know if it's Marriott hotels. You know, when you come off those service roads sometimes and you see the Marriott, it's like a cluster of the Residence Inn, Spring Hill Suites. So that might join that Fairfield Inn that's currently over there. But with that being said, I think I just wanted to have a jump start on the ideas that can come from this board to add to this development because it's unique. It's different. It's the first of its kind coming to us as a council, I would say, offering the opportunity for business on the outer side. And I think that also, when it comes to the small businesses, I know there's an appetite from this body to amplify that. I think Director Jiggetts is probably hosting, it might be this week, I don't know if it is or not, but a home-based business expo just to allow new and local businesses to take part. This might be something that you could speak with him offline about sharing with them, and they can probably even have a head start on a project like this prior to it coming, because we're going to look forward to this coming before the city council really soon. If no one else has any questions, I'd just like to say thank you, Ryan, for coming and sharing with this body. And we look forward to seeing you back again with updates, adding in these feedback comments to your project. Ryan?
Sorry, I'm muted. My apologies. I was saying, that's great. Thank you for the opportunity to talk with you. It was a pleasure, and hope to do it again. I really appreciate all the questions. It was just great to connect with y'all. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Clerk?
Thanks so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. The next item is item 7, executive session.
I don't think we have much, but I did want to give Mr. Jiggetts a point of personal privilege to speak about his upcoming event that operates in the vein in which this body is intended to amplify before we adjourn.
Well, thank you for that, Mr. Chairman. If you guys are not aware, I'm a small business advocate, small business coach. I'm a small business owner myself. And as such, I am producing this event this Saturday. It's a virtual home-based business expo. The idea is to create connectivity with business owners who operate from their home and their immediate communities. Our objective, our hope is that if you're a business owner and you have, a decent amount of customers, hopefully, what we do know is that many of your customers are not your neighbors. Oftentimes people feel like if they slap a flyer on Facebook, they call their family and friends, they're able to, get a good customer base. We hope to build a gap. We hope to build connectivity between those business owners and their neighbors. And we hope that that would in turn support our local community, our local economy. And if you all are available, it's Saturday at 10 o'clock. The website is hvbexpo.org. You can log on and participate and share the information if you can.
Okay. Thank you, Director Jiggetts. Madam Attorney, I don't think we had any.
I'm sorry. Can you email that to us, Director Jiggetts?
Absolutely. I'll
Please.
ask the clerk if he can, if that's more, email. I think he has access to all your emails.
Right.
Okay, so if you could send it into Mr. Adams, and if you could share it, even if you have a flyer, that'd be helpful too.
I do. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Not a problem. Madam Attorney, I don't think we had anything. Did you have something?
No, Chairman.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
A second.
Properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Thank you guys so much for attending. Mr. Clerk, you can do a roll call vote.
Roll call vote to adjourn. Chairman Baker,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Grooms,
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Jiggetts,
Aye.
Director Coleman,
Aye.
Director Ivey,
Aye.
Director Pierson,
Aye.
Director Pollard,
Aye.
Director Ross.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 6:41 p.m. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much, Mr. Clerk. Thank you, Madam Attorney. Thank you, directors. You guys take care and be safe.
Take care,
Thank
everybody.
you. Have a good night.
You too.
Right.
Bye.
Night.